All right, the dumbbell row is probably one of the most popular, or at least one of the most commonly executed back exercises that there is in or out of the gym. That being said, it is one of the ones that I feel like I see more people do wrong than just about anything else. Because it is a very common exercise as well as a fairly simple exercise, I think it's more common for people who are less familiar with the movement or with exercise in general to be doing it. And so there's a lot more mistakes with it. That being said, I thought it would be a good one to go over. And I'll go ahead and include a few variations as well. So to get set up, generally people would be doing it off of a bench. You don't have to. You can just kind of support yourself off of a knee, however you want, but often you're going to see this done on a bench. You want to make sure, I guess, first of all, that your back isn't arched and your hips are kind of, I guess, your body's, you want to make sure that you're supporting your weight with your front hand or your down hand if you're on a bench, and that you're not way back up on your hips, supporting the weight with your hips. If you're way back here, you're going to be pulling at a much different angle, and also your thigh is going to be a little bit more in the way. If you're more forward and your hips are out behind you, so your arms bearing or your down arm is bearing the weight, that's going to allow you a better or easier range of motion here. From there, you're just going to be maintaining a neutral position, keeping your back straight, leading with your elbow. As we've talked about, when you're doing back movements, it's about how far you can drive your elbow back, not about how much you can move your hand. So the hand movement is going to be, or could be a lot of bicep. You can just row right here, and this is the most common thing I see. It's people just pulling the weight to their body, using all bicep, hardly engaging anything in their back. So you really want to drive your elbow up and back here. Now, you can also elevate the bench a little bit. And this is going to slightly change, I guess, the angle of the movement, and it's going to also change a little bit where you feel the muscles activating. So, personal opinion, being a little more upright, I feel it's easier to target your lat and a little bit less in your upper back if that's your target with this movement. Now, another variation that you can do if you have an inclined bench is you can just do a prone dumbbell row on the bench. So just chest flat on the bench. And then it's going to be that same motion that we were doing, driving your elbows up and back, except you can do both hands at the same time. And that's going to pretty closely mimic like a machine, either a plate loaded low row or a machine row, low row. So it's going to be a very similar range of motion to that, where you're kind of pulling from down and again help target those lats a little bit more. It's a pretty good contraction. If you have machines, I do feel like the angle on those is a little bit better, but it's still going to be relatively similar. And then the final variation that you can do from any of these positions, well, I guess not the final, you could do multiple variations, but the final one that I would commonly do would just be a supinated row. So if it's down on the bench like this, just facing your palm forward and rowing up and back. Of course, you can cant your hand in really any direction, as well as you can come palm straight back or pronated and up and out. Again, all of those are going to change a little bit of the musculature of the back that you're hitting. But the biggest thing on this is the basic posture of the lift, which is you want to make sure that your back is straight. You want to make sure that you're squeezing your scapula back and together as you're rowing up. And you want to make sure that you're driving with your elbow, not just pulling your hand to your body, because this isn't working your back at all. So you really need to drive that elbow up and back and use your bicep as little as you can. So that is that. And I got nothing clever to say aside from we do still have a handful of Stay Hungry t-shirts left, so check out gritnutrition.com to grab yourself one of those.